Now on this channel, I created lots of different chat apps using the suggestions that you guys have provided. But there wasn't really a chat app that I was truly proud of because the fact is, lots of these chat apps were missing important features that many of us actually take for granted. Well, I'm happy to announce because I finally created a chat app that I can be truly proud of because it has some awesome features that I wanted to do for quite a while. And you guys are gonna absolutely love what I'm gonna be showing you today. Now, before we get started, as always, all the apps and all the resources that I discuss on this channel can be viewed and or cloned when you join our amazing Patreon community. And if you're not yet a member, then you're greatly missing out, and you can join the community via the first link in the description below the video. All right, so here I am inside of Flutterflow, which is my favorite no-code app builder. It makes it super easy and super hassle-free to build all kinds of apps quickly and easily. And before I show you how I built this app, let's go ahead and run it so that I can show you some of the amazing features that I'm super excited about. Okay, now instead of running this app in Flutterflow, I'm actually going to be running this app side by side in a simulator. Okay, so here I have two simulators that are going to simulate a real world conversation between two people. Okay, so here we are logged in as Rob, and here we are logged in as Mike, and I have a conversation here and a conversation here. And so you can open this up by simply clicking here and starting a new chat. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to come in here. Okay, so now I can chat with another person, with another device. And so let's say I am Mike here and I'm chatting with Rob here. Okay, so let's say I just want to ask, hey, Mike. Okay, now, as I type this, you're going to be seeing something very interesting, and that is a typing indicator, okay? And that appears anytime another person is typing, but they haven't yet sent a message. And this way, this person here knows that, well, they're going to be getting a message very, very soon, okay? So I can keep typing, and I can hit send. Okay, so when I do that, we see the message. So you see the message here. This is my message that I sent here, and this person sees the message here. Now, there's also another thing that we can do, right? We can start, typing a message. Hey, what's going on? And when I type this message, the other person is going to be seeing this typing indicator. But if I delete the message, guess what happens? The typing indicator goes away. And that is normal behavior, right? Sometimes you see that, maybe you're chatting with one of your friends, you see that indicator, and then it disappears, and then it reappears. Well, what's happening is that, the other person, they start typing, hey there, and you see that there, and then maybe they decide, well, I'm not gonna send the message, and it goes away. And so this is a really, really nifty feature, really, really important feature, and I'm going to be showing you exactly how you can implement it a little bit later in the video. Now, for this next feature, let me go ahead and send another message. And so here I can send another message, what's going on, for instance. And now you see the message here and the message here. Now, you may have noticed something interesting is that on this screen here, these messages that I have sent to another person, you are seeing some check marks here, okay? Now, you can probably guess what these check marks mean if you've used WhatsApp or you've used Telegram or some of these other chat apps, messaging apps. This first check mark, the blue check mark, means that this message has been received, okay? The second one means that this message has been seen. So this message here and this message here, they were both received and they were both seen by the other person. Okay, and this is very, very important feature that it's a must-have. And so in order to show you how it works, I need to send some more messages so that some of them are not going to be visible, and then you will see in real time as the messages are marked seen. Okay, so here's another random message, and as you can see, it's visible here, so it has been marked as seen. Let's go ahead and send another message. There's another message, it's marked as seen as well. And so here I have a bunch of messages, and as you can see, all of these messages have been received as well as seen. Now, if I exit out of the screen and I send another message, this message would be received, but it wouldn't be marked as seen automatically. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and send this message. And as you can see, this message here has been received, but it hasn't been seen because this person here is not on the main view. Okay, so if they click here and they go here, now they see it. This message is automatically marked seen in real time. Okay, so let's try that again. So let's say I exit out and I send another message. Okay, and there's the message. It has been received, but it hasn't been seen. But if I come here and I click here and it still hasn't been seen, you see, it hasn't been seen. And that is because I need to scroll down. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to open this up and it has been seen automatically. Okay, one more example. Let's say I send another message, scroll down. You see, this message hasn't been seen because this person hasn't scrolled down. I'm going to open this up and this message is automatically marked as received and seen. So this is a very, very powerful feature. And this feature is really a must-have, right? Like just knowing, where your message is, has it been delivered, has it been received, has it been sent, has it been seen is very, very important. And we were able to implement this in this chat app. Now, there's one more feature that I want to show you that I decided to implement as well. It's a little icing on the cake. I think a lot of people are going to find it useful. And if not, you don't have to use it. And that is AI. Okay. So in order to send a request, you can type /AI and then you can ask a question. So you can say something like, what's the capital of Portugal? Okay. So now if I hit send, it's going to think and it's going to get the answer and it's going to place the answer in my text box. And at this point, I can decide what I want to do. Do I want to edit it? Do I want to delete it? Do I want to just send it as is? Let's say I agree with the answer. And so I'm going to send it as is. I'm going to hit send. Now this message has been sent. It hasn't been read yet, right? Because I need to scroll. I need to see. There it is. Now it has been marked as seen or read. Okay, we can try that again. So type AI, what's the capital of Mexico? Okay, hit send, it's thinking, and there's the answer. We're gonna hit send, scroll up, we get this answer here. It's a little bit longer, and as you can see, it's formatting perfectly, right? It's formatting as it needs to format, right? Kind of expands this box. And this message hasn't been seen by the other party, and that's because it's not in the scroll view. So we're going to scroll up, and now it has been seen. How cool is this? I really, really like this feature. I've been wanting to implement it for quite a while. I think many of you, if not most of you, are going to agree that this is awesome feature, both the AI, but even more this scene mark, okay? Now, we've been having kind of a one-sided conversation so far, but of course, it goes without saying that this person can also chat back with this person. So I can, say, hey, Mike, okay? And when I start typing that, this person is going to be seeing this familiar typing indicator. So I'm going to go ahead and send this. And now, the message is here. And if I scroll down, we're going to be seeing these indicators on this side, right? So I send this message to this person and I'm seeing that they have received it and they have read it. So I can send another message. What are you doing tomorrow? Okay. So as I'm typing it, I'm seeing this typing indicator, but I'm going to scroll up so that I don't see it immediately. So I'm here somewhere. I'm going to hit send and I'm going to scroll down. And as you can see, this message hasn't been seen yet. And that is because it's not in the view, right? I'm going to scroll up. And now this message has been marked as seen. And so you don't have to have a one-sided conversation. You can have a mutual conversation and you're going to be seeing the same UI in your app as well, right? Exactly as was the case before. Now, how exactly is all of this implemented? Well, let's jump into Flow so that I can show you exactly how this is done. And believe me, you definitely want to pay attention. You're going to learn a ton of new and interesting things. So Here we are back in Flutterflow. Now, a quick reminder, if you are a member of our amazing Patreon community, you're going to have access to this app, which means you can view and or clone it. And plus, we're going to try something new this time around. If you have any, suggestions, improvements, bug fixes, stuff like that, then you can let me know in our Patreon under where I'm going to be posting this app. And later on, I'm going to take into account your suggestions when publishing a new version. Okay, so that way we're going to continuously improve a lot of these apps, a lot of these widgets, according to what you guys want to see. So definitely stay tuned for that. All right, so how exactly did I build this app? Well, the first thing that I want to show you is our backend. So I'm using Supabase here, and I'm only using these two tables here, right? The Z chats and Z chat messages. So Z chats has our chats, right? So that way we can figure out, which are my chats when I log in. And if you log in, you can see your chats where you are a participant. But another important table here is the Z chat messages, which contains all the messages. And as you can see, these are the messages in that chat, right? And so this is the user ID that sent it. So as you can see, this user just sent like two messages and this other user sent the other messages, which is correct because initially we were just sending the messages using that emulator on the right-hand side. And then we send a couple of messages using the other emulator, okay? So we are using Supabase, but we are not merely using Supabase, okay? We're not loading this up from Supabase using a standard way. We're actually using real-time events. And so here you can see that I have real-time turned on. And so that means that anytime there's a change in this table, any kind of change, I'm going to know about it. My app is going to be notified, right? And the way that we're getting notified, if you go into subscribe to changes, you will see this custom action. And so this custom action here essentially lets the app know, lets me know as a developer that there has been a change, a new data has been modified, etc., etc. So here we're listening to ZChat messages, and when we get a new message or an updated message, any kind of change, we are saving it in app state. So let me jump to our app state. We have this app state message list, which is a list of this message type. And what is message type? If you go to message type, you can see that this is our message structure here, right? So we have the message ID, the chat ID, the user ID, the actual message. This is the content. And then we have three flags, right? Is the user typing? Has the message been received? Has the message been read? Okay, so this is our main structure, and our app state is essentially a list of these messages. And so that's our app state, right? Which is used all over the app here. And so let's jump back into the UI here. And the first thing that I want to show you is this screen here, okay? So this is just a regular list view where we are listing the messages from the app state. And that is because we're getting the messages sent from our Supabase to our app state using that real-time functionality. So we don't have to worry about fetching the messages from Supabase at all, right? That is why we're not fetching them here. We're only fetching them here. And so here I have a bunch of conditions. Now this is very, very important because we don't want all the messages. We want to filter. So I'm filtering them by two conditions. And we have this one condition, which is a simple condition to understand. And here's where we only want the messages that belong to a certain chat. Okay, so we don't want all the messages. That's going to be a big security issue, right? If I log in and I see everybody's messages, only the messages that specific to that chat that I'm having. Okay, now this second condition is actually a combination of two conditions, right? This is an or, which means that we only care if one of them is true. If it was an and, we would want both of them to be true. Here it's an or, we only care that one of them is true. And here, what we care about is either the message is non-empty, because we don't want empty messages, or the message could be empty, but it's being typed right now, right? So when you're typing it, we need to send that event, and that message is going to be empty, which is okay, as long as it's being typed. If it's empty and not being typed, we don't want those messages, right? We want to ignore those messages. Okay, so this is what essentially it's doing. So once we have the messages, we have a stack, and the purpose of the stack is to either display this row or this row, depending on whose message it is, right? So if it's my message, meaning that, I am the authenticated user, this user ID is set to me, then that message is going to be displayed as part of this row. And that means I can align it to the right. You see, I have it aligned to the right. Otherwise, if it's the other person, we're going to align it to the left. Now, I'm doing a little bit of filtering here as well. So if we come over here, we have two conditions. Obviously, that, the first is the message is me. This is authenticated user right here. This user ID is this authenticated user, which is the user that's logged in. Me, when I say me, I mean that I am logged in, okay? And the second thing is that I am ignoring empty messages, okay? I don't want to see empty messages. And this is important because when you are typing a message, when you are, just typing it, the other person sees that, typing indicator, but you would see an empty message because that's what it is. It's an empty message. And so we don't want to see it on our side. I mean, I'm typing it. There's no reason for that empty message to appear, but that's exactly what it is. It's an empty message with a typing set to true. So the other person should see a typing indicator and we should not see anything. And that is what this conditional visibility is for. And so this is all standard. We have the actual message text. We have all of these things. We have some special formatting with an expansion so that the message expands correctly, this flexible expansion here. Now things get a lot interesting in this row other, because here we are displaying the messages that were sent to us by the other person, right? And here we need some special logic. First, we have this typing indicator widget that I'm going to show you in just a second. And this widget is visible when the message is typing, right? When is typing is set to true, which means that, that message is being typed. So we need to show it on the left-hand side, okay? And just below it, we have something called a text visible widget. And that widget here displays the text on the left-hand side, but it also does something special that I'm going to show you in just a second. Okay, so if we jump into our custom widgets, the first widget that I want to show you is a typing indicator. And all a typing indicator is, it's essentially 3 dots that have animation based on the opacity of the dot. And so, when you see that animation, when you see the typing indicator, what we have here is an animation of opacity, right? And if you don't know what opacity is how transparent a widget is. So all of these widgets that you see right now on the screen, they have an opacity of 1, which means they're not transparent. But you can set an opacity on any widget anywhere from 0 to 1. 0 would be see-through, so like, no opacity, right? Transparent. Whereas 1 would have full opacity, which means it's going to be opaque, right? Which means it's not going to be see-through. And so what we're doing is we have an animation where each of the dots cycles in opacity from 0.1 to 1. So just barely visible to 1, right? So it's cycling in each one cycle. So it's a fairly simple animation, and that creates that really cool, that typing indicator effect. Now, the second widget is a lot more interesting and also a lot more useful. Chances are you're going to be using it in all kinds of different scenarios. And this widget here that I've built uses a package called visibility detector. And you can kind of Google for it. You're going to find more information about it. But essentially what this widget does is it detects when a particular widget is visible on the screen, okay? And so what we can do is we can wrap this visibility widget on top of another widget that we want to track. In this case, just a simple text widget that another person needs to see. So anytime it's visible in this other person's chat, we need to know about it. And so what I did was I built a custom widget that takes this visibility detector here, right, from this package here, and uses our text as its child, okay? And that way our text is displayed, but we have here a way to detect whether that widget is visible, okay? And so here we're checking if more than 50% of that widget is visible. If so, and it hasn't been yet seen, we are gonna set its seen to true, and then we're gonna call a callback, okay? And this is a way to tell Flutterflow, hey, I just saw that widget, Here's the widget. I saw it. Now do whatever you want with it. Okay. And this is kind of how I have it set up. And this allows me a lot of flexibility and also allows you a lot of flexibility because you can adjust it any way that you want. And so if we jump back to our app and we select this widget here, this text visible, and we scroll down, you see I'm passing it this message item, this message object with all the fields, the ID, the chat ID, everything, right? So it gets everything. But we also have this unseen, which is a callback, right? And so if we open it up, what do we want to do in the callback? Well, we want to update that record in Supabase, right? So what we're doing is we're updating that record in Supabase, and we're saying that read is equal to true. And remember, because we have real time, anytime we update it in Supabase, we are immediately notified, and that means we can take action immediately. That's really why real time is so nice, because you can make your changes in your Supabase, but your app is going to get notified immediately. And that is why I like this real-time functionality. And so when this callback gets called, when that widget is more than 50% visible on the screen, we are essentially telling Supabase, okay, so this widget is now visible, set read to true. And once we set it to true, we get the callback, and that's why we can display that second check mark, right? And you can see that right here. So we have these two check marks here that have this conditional visibility. And so this one has item received conditional visibility, right? So it has been received, you display the check mark, and the second check mark has item has been read conditional visibility. So if it hasn't been read, if this is false, you're not going to be seeing this check mark. And actually, this check mark also works as well, right? This received here, it's actually set when it is received, right? So if we go into custom code, subscribe to change, you see here when the app gets the real-time event, we are setting receive to true, okay? Because this app, they've got it, they got the message, right? It has been set in the real-time event. And so not only the read message functionality works as expected, the received message functionality also works as expected, because if the real-time event has been received by the app, we can set it to true, okay? So these are not just random check marks. They actually connect to real functionality. They are reliable. You can definitely trust them. Now, everything that we've talked about so far is nice and all, but we haven't gotten to the heart of the app just yet. There's still more things to discuss. And more specifically, the key parts of the app is when the message is being constructed and being sent. Okay, so there are two things that you need to understand. The first thing is when the user is typing the message and they're editing it and they're deleting it, they're adding to it, but they haven't sent it yet, right? So this message at that point is in this kind of limbo. It's in this temp state, okay? It hasn't been sent, it hasn't been received. It's still, it might not be sent in the first place, right? So this is important to understand. And the way we handle it is by dealing with the events on this input message. So if we select it here and we open it here and we open this and we head over to unchanged, we have some important logic, and that is because depending on what's happening with the message, if it's being edited, if it's being constructed, if it's being crafted, we need to let the other party know that a message is being crafted in real time. And we do that with a typing indicator. And so all of this here handles that aspect before the message has been actually sent. And so the first thing that we're doing is we're checking whether the person is adding to the message, meaning that they're moving from an empty state to something, or they're moving from a something to empty state. And this is important, as you're going to see in just a second. So initially, that input box is empty. They're going to start typing something. And here what we want to do is we want to see whether we have created this message already, right? Because we're going to be creating these messages, and we want to make sure that we reuse these messages in limbo. And so here I have a query to see if there is an empty message already, right? Message equals to empty. And if yes, then we need to update it to typing is equal to true, okay? And we also need to update our page state to that message, right? To that record that we found, because later on we need to do something with that message, as you're going to see in a second. Now, if we don't have that message, that record in limbo that we have created previously, if we do not have it, then here we're going to create it from scratch with an empty message and is typing set to true. And we're also going to update page state. Okay. So this left part is the initial state, right? You see that empty text input box and you start typing. It's going to go here. Now, let's say you typed the message and you decided that, okay, I'm not going to send this message. Okay, I'm going to send it later. And you go ahead and delete it. Well, when you delete that message, we need to stop displaying the typing indicator. And all of this is handled here on this right leaf here, right? On this right-hand side here. And so once the input has been deleted, we first need to query for that typing message because we're going to have that typing message because we were just typing. Okay, so we find that record. If it's there, and it needs to be there because we were just typing something, we are going to set is typing to false because now we've deleted everything and we can tell the other person that the person is not typing anymore. They've deleted the message. So we need to stop displaying this typing indicator. And we do that by setting is typing to false and also updating our page state. Okay, very, very important. And so this is the flow with that message in limbo, that temp message. All of this kind of deals with that. Now, the second aspect is what happens after a message has been crafted, constructed, and the person decided to send it. Okay, so we're going to open this up and we have 8 actions on tap here. Okay, the first thing we're checking is whether this is an AI request. And the way that we can tell if this is an AI request is because it starts with AI. Okay, so if it starts with AI, we need to do something else. We need to make an API call and we need to get the result. We need to set the result as the form field, basically replacing the question. And here I'm also updating and I'm setting is typing to false. And actually, come to think of it, you probably do not need this node because when you got the response, you have not sent the message yet. And so you probably would either want to delete this node here or disable it, or you can keep it if you want. But if you want that typing indicator to continue being displayed to the other party, you definitely want to disable this node here. Now, this other part here, this right-hand side is executed if this is not an API request. So if you just send a regular message, or you send an API request and you get back a regular message, all of this is going to get executed. So the first thing that we're doing is we're updating the message and we're setting is typing to false. Okay, so the person is sending the message. Remember, this is a button here, right? They're sending the message. We need to remove that typing indicator. We need to hide it back. And the next thing we're doing is we're setting this last message on the Z chats so that in your chat list, you can see the last message. And we're also sending a push notification, right? We have push notification support as well here, and we are clearing the input message field. Okay, so that is our flow. And like I said, 2 things you need to understand is what happens to the message while it's in limbo. It's being edited, it's being kind of worked on, it hasn't been sent yet. This is dealt with here. And here we are dealing with the case when we actually press the button and send the message. And as a result, you have this really, really cool chat app with some really cool features that I'm actually proud of because I actually wanted to implement these features for quite a while now. And hopefully you'll also find these features and functionality useful, maybe for a chat app or maybe for another app that you're trying to build, right? You can reuse these features in any app that you want. And just like how I mentioned earlier, there's lots of moving pieces here, lots of things happening. And so if you're serious about your no-code journey, you actually want to, build this app, you actually want to maybe use some of these widgets in some of your other apps, or you have questions about this app, or you want to track different changes and improvements to this app or some of the widgets used in this app, you definitely want to join our amazing Patreon community. Because not only will you be able to view and or clone this app right here, but you'll also be able to track improvements, bug fixes, changes to some of the widgets that we have discussed here, as well as the app as a whole. So if you're serious there's no other way except, becoming a member of our amazing community. And remember, when you join our amazing Patreon community, you also get access to all my other apps that I talk about on this channel. They're all there. You can discuss them with other members. I also jump in and help out if I can. You're also going to get access to our Patreon supported masterclass, which is our series of deep dive tutorials where we break down lots of interesting concepts, topics, even some tools, apps, etc., etc. It is all there. And above and beyond that, you're going to be supporting this channel and supporting my work. And so if you're getting any value from any of these tutorials that I put out, any of these apps, techniques, custom widgets, etc., etc., if they help you out in any way, shape, or form, then you definitely want to join our amazing Patreon community and support this channel, as well as get access to more content and really take your no-code game to the next level. And you can join our amazing Patreon community using the first link in the description below the video.